Good morning, DG Nimasa, our guests, and our media guys. Sorry we are starting a bit late. It's not usual. There's a presidential movement this morning, and it's affected some things a wee bit. Some of our journalists are also caught up in the movement, and very soon everything will be as it used to be. Now we start. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 53rd session of these special briefings put together by the Presidential Communications team. One of the key areas that the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration has achieved great impact is in the provision of support and infrastructure for the transportation sector. The recent achievements that have been recorded in this sector in the past 7 years have translated into the development of the Nigerian economy at large. This morning, the Director General, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nimasa, Dr. Bashir Jamoh, one of the strategic stakeholders in the transportation sector, will highlight some of the critical policies and incentives that have been put in place by Nimasa to execute the vision of this current administration to further develop the maritime sector and support the strategy of Nigeria and indeed Africa's blue economy. It will also tell us about the current status of maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea and highlight key areas of collaboration between the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agencies and other key agencies and departments of government in the implementation of the reforms in the transportation and maritime sector. The DG will come here and speak to us here and those of our stakeholders watching online for about 30-40 minutes. After, he will take questions from our people and those online. And that will be the end of the event. On this note, I would like to invite the DG to come to talk to us and introduce members of his team. DG, sir.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction. The Senior Special Assistants to Mr. President on Media Matters, the Director Media Team in the BILA, other officials handling this important assignment in the BILA, my colleague, the Executive Director of Finance and Administration, two directors, Maritime Safety and Security, Standard Department, and then the Director of Cabotage Services, other colleagues in the agency, members of staff in the BILA, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, other BOs, within and outside the country, good morning. As introduced by the Director Praise, my name is Dr. Bashir Jamoh, the Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. I'm here with you this morning to give you a brief on what the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency is contributing to the development of the maritime sector and the Nigerian economy at large as a regulatory agency. So the topic is briefing the activities of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency And today, 6th of October 2022. Let me start with a quote from Seneca. Seneca says that if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Ladies and gentlemen, we can understand the issue of wind. The wind at sea helps you in navigating your own ship. So if you don't know what Seneca is saying, if you don't know where you are going, so that means there is nothing, there is no road, or there is no way favorable for you. Anything comes, is you have to accept it. Then you have to start blaming, apportioning blame. You don't have breakfast in your house, you say government did not give you opportunity to take breakfast. If you are sick, government is the problem. First of all, you have to define where you are going. What do you want? How do you get to where you are going? So, the Nigerian Maritime and Safety Administration and Safety Agency was established by an act of parliament after the merger between Joint Maritime Industrial Council, JOMALIC, and National Maritime Authority in 2007, with two cardinal objectives. What I'm trying to do here is to tell you the directions where we are going, where we know the port we are going or not. So, after establishment, the objective of this agency is to regulate and promote maritime safety, security, marine pollution, and maritime labor. When you talk marine pollution, you are talking of environmental performance, environmental issues, environmental management. And secondly, to promote the development of indigenous commercial shipping in international and coastal shipping trade. So, with these two objectives, we have brought two laws in addition to additional two given to the agency. One is Nimasa Act of 2007, which comes to create the agency as Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency in 2007. The second act is the one that deals with the coastal shipping. That's what we call Cabotage law. That one was enacted in 2003. That is before the merger between NMA and JOMALIC. So this is the second law we have to handle. Now, the third law is the issue of the commercial shipping itself, which is called Merchant Shipping Act. The Merchant Shipping Act was also established at the same time of the Nimasa Act in 2007. This is the third law the agency is aligned with the responsibility to implement. Now we have the fourth law, which is the recent law signed by this administration by the incumbent president, which is called Separation of Piracy and Other Maritime-Related Offenses Act 2019. In the course of presentation, you will find from time to time the impact, the benefits, the gains within Nigeria and international community, as well as continental and regional states. These four acts are working with. The next is our vision. What is our vision? This vision is what is called the fort. Where are we going? Our target and what we are focusing is to be the leading maritime administration in Africa, advancing Nigeria's global maritime goals. So, the target of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, or the vision where we are going, is for us to be the leading maritime administration in Africa. The subsequent slides will now prove to where we are today. Our aim is to be the continental maritime leading body. What is our mission? This is our mission, is to achieve and sustain safe, secure shipping, cleaner ocean, and enhance maritime capacity in line with the global best practices towards Nigerian economic development. It is only when you have safe, so that is one, when you look at the one objectives, part of the objective of the agency is safety, that is safe, secure shipping, security, and then cleaner ocean and enhanced maritime capacity, that is marine environment management or marine environment performance with the global best practices. The agency is being supervised by the International Maritime Organization, a body under the United Nations. So whatever the agency is trying to achieve must be in line with the global best practices. That is where we can now achieve the Nigerian's economic development. Now, having seen our mission, our vision, then what is going to drive this mission and vision? There is nothing like human element. And in human element, you must have a value that can enable you drive and achieve the vision and the missions you have. And this is the core value of any human element. That is the staff of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency is expected to have. He must be committed to our vision and mission. He must be accountable. The issue of corruption and other things must be out of his mind. He must be professional. He must have an integrity. And he must be a team player. Teamwork must be, you must be one. You can't score ball if you don't have a very good team. Ronaldo or any other good player cannot score ball if he doesn't have the team to pass the ball for him to score. So Nimasa cannot achieve what they want to achieve if they don't have a very good teamwork. So you must have a teamwork for you to be aligned with our own mission and vision to achieve our own. Otherwise, we will go and leave you behind. By the time we leave you behind, then you have to start thinking where is the best suited for you. Nimasa is not going to be the best place. The next thing is, yes, you can be good, you can be fair. No, always you have to strive for excellence. Always, if you are a staff, you have to strive for excellence. And then, finally, the issue of leadership. Leadership is something that you add values to others. Once you are a leader and you don't have the capacity to add value, to change the tides, to change yesterday for better tomorrow, then you are not a business, you have no business to be a leader. So, as far as our own core value is concerned, you must show the ability of being a leader. And that leader that focuses his attention in adding value to whatever is given to him as his own hand. And then finally, you must be disciplined. You must inculcate self-discipline. You must see the discipline of your own nation, your own people. You must be able to reflect the key values of commitment, accountability, professionalism, integrity, teamwork, excellent leadership. We call it capital D, so that everyone in the agency can be able to remember. When you see the acronym capital D, so you will now have to understand. Anyone is missing in you, then you know you have somewhere to go. You must go and learn and get such discipline. So these are the one that is in our own mind every day. Next slide, please. The Nimasa Governing Board has 10 membership. One of the core values is team. So you can see from the left-hand side, we have the team of 9, I think, yes, 9. You can see 5 in the front row and 4 at the back row. At that time, when we snapped this picture, we don't have a representative from the Maritime, from the Ministry of Labor. So we're supposed to be 10 as the governing board. The Nimasa DG is answerable to the board, and then the board is answerable to the Minister of Transportation, while the Minister of Transportation is answerable to Mr. President. And then we have executive management that manage and approve and move day-to-day running of the agency in terms of policy formulation and implementation. The board did the policy, and then the executive management implement the policies. And there you are. You have the Director General, and then you have Executive Director, Finance and Administration at the middle, who is sitting right behind me. And then we have at the top, Shehu Ahmad, and then Victor Oche, who is the Executive Director, Cabotage and Maritime Labor Services. Shehu Ahmed is the Executive Director, Operations, and then Chudi Fordley, the Executive Director, Finance and Administration. Now, we are going into the proper. We have seen the background of the agency, how the agency is run, who the agency is responsible to, and other things like that. Now, when it comes to the implementation of the mandate of the agency, just like any other government, when the government come in, they will now say, oh, we have 4 agenda, 5 agenda. We have, like Eradua government, they have 7-point agenda. So every government, they have their own agenda in terms of what they intend to achieve for the well-being of Nigerians. Now, the agency tried to formulate their own agenda, and that agenda is 3-point agenda, which is triple S agenda. This triple S is what dovetail the mandate of the agency. We try to subsume all the objectives, functions of the agency into triple S, so that each and every staff can remember. If we wake him up from the sleep, he will be able to tell you what the agency intends to achieve or intends to do from time to time. And this triple S, S1 is called Maritime Security. S2 is Maritime Safety. S3 is Shipping Development. Now, the Maritime Security and Maritime Safety are straightforward issues. But the Shipping Development, in terms of developing shipping, there are so many components. You have fleet expansion, you have infrastructural development, you have ship repairs, you have shipbuilding, you have to promote the shipping itself. So that is the S3. While the maritime security is the agenda to ensure stable seas and protected shores. Our seas must be out of any issues that has to do with security. This include piracy, include illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing, act of sabotage in terms of oil pipeline vandalization, the issue of arms proliferation, the issue of drug trafficking, the issue of human trafficking. All we have to understand it under the maritime security. All this shouldn't come through our own waters. Just like at the port level, we have to check that. At the airport, you have to check that. So all this must be checked. Now, the second agenda has to do with agenda to ensure the operational and environmental well-being of the maritime community. Not only the maritime community, the navigational waters must be free from wrecks. The water must be free and safe. The water must be clean and clear. The ships must have easy navigational ways, and so on and so forth in terms of maritime safety. It does not stop only on the water. The ship itself, what type of ship are you operating? We have to check that through the port and flag state control, and we must ensure that the building and the documentation of your ship is properly being inspected and addressed through the port and flag state control. That is under the maritime safety. Now, under the shipping development, I have already mentioned the issue of capacity building, the issue of marine promotion, shipping promotion, fleet expansion, ship repairs, ship building. In the subsequent slides, you will be able to see the analysis of each. Now, coming to the number one issue, that is the maritime security. The maritime security domain is very critical to the day-to-day operation of our own ship. Once a ship cannot enter our shore safely and leave our shore safely, then the issue of maritime business is no longer there. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, 90% of our trade, global trade, is through maritime. Once our security is threatened, then the issue of shipping is being threatened. Once the issue of shipping is being threatened, part of the major component of the revenue accrued to the federal government is being threatened. So therefore, security helps to boost investors' confidence. Hence, the following key accomplishment under the current dispensation is being realized. Number one, the present government signed into law the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime-Related Offenses Act in 2019. The launch of Deep Blue Project. Significant reduction in piracy and kidnapping. Arrest and successful prosecutions of criminals. Leadership of Regional Maritime Collaboration Forum to tackle insecurity. Nigeria's removal from International Maritime Bureau's red list. All these accomplishments, subsequent slides will give you statistical data and evidences of how we achieved that. Gentlemen and ladies, before June 2019, judiciaries find it very difficult to prosecute criminals that they are filtered all over the country, sabotaging our own maritime trade. Sometimes hijacking ship for the purpose of, stealing cargoes, either PMS or diesel or any type of oil that is coming into the country. Sometimes they rob the ships. Sometimes they kidnap the seafarers to the extent that the International Maritime Bureau declared Nigeria as the most dangerous water to trade in because of the rampant criminal activities in our own waters. Many a times, this criminal will be arrested, and in the absence of law to try them, sometimes we keep them in our own prison as remand. After some times, they will get themselves bail and go back to square one. Now, the issue is not only you arrest the criminal, you put him in cell or in jail. While that criminal is waiting for trial and there is no law to try him, the next thing he will continue to do from investigation, he will try to cajole other people and introduce them into that type of business. And many a time, they will get bail. The next thing, you see them at the sea because that's the business they understand best. The agency try hurriedly and prepare what we call Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime-Related Offenses Act so that we can align with the judiciary. The executive can give the credence to that particular act. And the National Assembly will have to go into the act or the bill, pass the bill, and ensure that we have a law that can try these offenders so that we can send a serious signals that the government is ready for anybody who is trying to perpetrate such crime. By June 2019, the bill was passed by the National Assembly, and Mr. President put his own accent to the bill, and it became a new bill which is being passed to the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency for them to ensure implementation. Sooner than later, there were a number of arrests. I must commend the Nigerian Navy because they are the one dealing with kinetic operation, while the agency deals with non-kinetic operations. Now, the Nigerian Navy arrested a number of people, and those are the arrests. Gentlemen and ladies, as you are aware, the judiciary have a number of cumbersome cases they have in their hand. But because of the outcry of the international community, the agency, after Mr. President granted accent to that bill, worked tirelessly with Nigerian Navy and the judiciary to make sure that we send a signal to these criminals who are disturbing our waters, that give Nigeria a bad name to the extent that we are giving the most dangerous nation to trade, to do a maritime trade. It used to be Somalia. We were hearing, we were seeing on telly. All of a sudden, it became a history. The next country was Nigeria. So from the right-hand side, you can see the number of arrests. Out of this arrest, within 1 year, we were able to secure conviction of 20 people. 10, they were given 10 years jail terms. 7 years jail terms each. And 3, they are foreigners. They came into the country to negotiate ransom without informing the government as provided by the SPOMO Act. And they were given fine. And they paid fine for such in line with the provision of the Act. On the left-hand side, we try as much as possible to ensure that we inculcate the culture of collaboration, cooperation, coordination, communication, and information sharing with all the agencies that are dealing with the issue of maritime insecurity. At the top level is the DG Nimasa with some of his team and the Inspector General of Police. At the middle is the officials of the Nigerian Navy. Down is the meeting with the Chief of Naval Staff to discuss the issue on how to move forward and ensure the forces that I mentioned in terms of collaboration, coordination, cooperation, and communication. So these are at the inception and implementation of the SPOMO Act signed by this regime. Now, the next is what the regime did, the Deep Blue Project. The regime tried to introduce a Deep Blue Project where we will have to, by number of platforms that we can deal with. So, in a summary form, please let me grab your indulgence to give you a vivid, a kind of video play of the Deep Blue Project, how it worked.
Nigeria tests out equipment soon to be deployed at sea. It's an arsenal of ground, air, and sea vessels and equipment designed to tackle pirates operating in the Gulf of Guinea. Nigeria tests out new equipment soon to be deployed at sea. It's an arsenal of ground, air, and sea vessels and equipment designed to tackle pirates operating in the Gulf of Guinea. Attacks in the region have grown in number and sophistication over the past 5 years.
It's very difficult to eradicate it, but our target is to see a zero tolerance of maritime insecurity within and beyond our own territorial waters. We have a complete gamut of land, air, and sea approach of assets that can handle the issue of this insecurity.
Countries in the region lose nearly $1 billion annually to pirate attacks. Many are carried out in Nigerian waters.
Many countries in West Africa and the Gulf of Guinea have tied their maritime security to that of the continent's biggest economy, and for good reason. A significant number of the 32 attacks carried out in the first quarter of 2021 happened in Nigeria's territorial waters. Ship operators hope with the country's deployment of additional vessels like this, 17 interceptor boats, 10 aircraft, including drones, will help to keep the number down.
In addition to the loss of lives and equipment, many businesses have closed.
There was a time in this country that we had almost 200 fleets, deep sea fishing trawlers. But due to the activities of the sea piracy and the various attacks, a lot of businesses have either fizzled out or relocated to neighboring countries.
And she says getting them back will be hard as new threats are emerging.
We have poachers that come from Europe and Asian countries. I mean, they steal our natural resources.
Are we okay? Let's go back to the slides. I think that's it. That's okay. Let's go back to the slides. Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, That's as a short clip from Al Jazeera when Mr. President inaugurated the platform of the Deep Blue project, a project that made Nigeria proud, and every other countries, they are coming to see the type of the projects we enhance in order to improve on our own maritime security. The video did not give you a clear vision, but these are what we have. From down, we have two special mission vessels. These two special mission vessels, they have the capacity of dynamic positioning. We can keep them at the high sea for a number of days without coming back for bunkering or food or any other things. And then the second one is 3 special mission helicopters, 16 armored vehicles specifically meant for creek. In the whole world, Nigeria has the largest creek that we have that has a very, very difficult terrain for you to go in. So when these criminals kidnap people, those are the areas that used to go and keep them. So we had to build special 16 armored vehicles that have a special features that can enter into the creek and search for such criminals. Then the next one is the 2 special mission aircraft. The 2 special mission aircraft has a 24 hours, 24/7 special cameras that if they go above anywhere, they take the film and video of such places and transmit it to what we call C4I Center. I will come to explain the C4I Center. Apart from that, we have 17 special interceptor boats. Immediately, the aircraft or the helicopters or the ship identify any threat. The 17 past interceptors information will be passed on to them, and they will now respond immediately. We have 4 unmanned aerial vehicles. This is aircraft, but it has a special feature. It doesn't have a pilot. We just send it in the event we suspect any wrongdoing in a certain place or from any one of our own gadget, especially the C4I Center. So we now send this unmanned air surveillance. It can move up to 100 kilometers and can remain 10 hours in one place, taking data, sending it to our own C4I Center. So from that data, the C4I Center can transmit to any one of these platforms for possible intervention. Then the next has to do with C4I Center, that is the brain of the whole operation. We have 600 special trained forces. That is the last one. Now, the C4I Center. Next slide, please. This is Mr. President while commissioning the Deep Blue project. Next. I have already explained this one. Next. Very good. Now this is how the entire operation of the Deep Blue project. From extreme right is what we call C4I Center. That is the brain of the entire project. From C4I Center, the C4I Center, if you look at the extreme left, you see special mission aircraft. The C4I Center can get information from the special mission aircraft with her own camera. So as she's collecting data, she's transmitting it to the C4I Center. And the C4I Center can look at any one of either armored vehicle, special mission helicopter, special mission vessel, or interceptor boat to see how they can go into the rescue of this suspicious vessel at sea, on sea. These are where the criminality is taking place. Now, if it's the aircraft, they can transmit it to the CPI center, and if it's helicopter, they can transmit it to the interceptor boat. A manned vessel can go to the target and collect data. And then aircraft also can go to the target and collect data, or special mission vessel can also transmit it. Now all this one has a special system that they transmit to each other. Each platform can talk to each other. But the brain box is the CPI center. It will collect all the data and transmit it to any one of the assets that is very nearby, where it can come and rescue any threat that is being expected. So this is how the working of the Deep Blue project. Next. Now, as a result of these activities and the activities of the Nigerian Navy, as I mentioned earlier, the Nigerian Navy responsibility is to take care of the kinetic operation. Kinetic operation like a war. They will have to go, they have about 600 trained from SSS, from civil defense, from marine police, from Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Air Force, Nigerian Army. So they have all those. From January to December 2020, that was the most serious and dangerous year we received. Reports of attacks, kidnaps, and oil thefts at that time. And what was happening at that time? Average per week, we experienced about 6 attacks per week, which is an average attack of 1 vessel per day. In the whole world, we have never experienced that. And that time, we used to give a contract to what we call secured anchorage area, so that when your vessel comes, we'll go and take shade in the secured anchorage area. And in February 2021, Mr. President directed that secured anchorage area manned by private security outfit should be cancelled, and Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Nigerian Navy, should take charge on the issue of the security. Sooner than later, in June 2021, Mr. President now commissioned that Deep Blue project. And what is the result? You can see the result. In 2017, we recorded 43 attacks or incidents. 2018, we had 82. 2019, we had 61. 2020, we had 18. 2021, it went down to 34. And in 2021, by the third quarter of 2021, Nigeria recorded 27 years progress that has never been achieved in drop in piracy. And this became a very, very encouraging report by the international community, because they couldn't understand how, why. It takes them longer time to address the issue in Somalia. And who did that? America combined with so many countries. But this is Nigeria. Yes, we have so many underground, non-kinetic approach to the issue. But look at the drop from 81 to 34. Since 1994, we have never recorded this milestone. Ladies and gentlemen, from the first quarter to date, we have never recorded one single accident or incident in our own territorial waters in terms of piracy attack. From last quarter of 2021 to date, over a year now, no single attack in our own territorial water. This led to the cancellation of the stigma placed on Nigeria as the most dangerous water and removed from the piracy list in March 2022. From March 2022, Nigeria is being removed from the piracy list for the first time in history. Next. And with this, Nigeria continued to receive a kind of support from the international community. The first thing we did was to establish what we call Joint Industry Working Group. We opened up our system for the international community to come. You are accusing Nigeria. Nigeria is not the only country that insecurity or piracy used to take place. In the entire Gulf of Guinea, we have different countries, and different attacks happen in different locations and in different countries. But whatever happened, they point finger at Nigeria. So we now have to introduce what we call Nigeria Joint Industry Working Group, so that all the international community, all the stakeholders in our own industry will meet every month to discuss the progress of maritime insecurity in Nigeria and Gulf of Guinea, not only Nigeria. So we have what we call Yaoundé architecture. So under the Yaoundé architecture, we now signed agreement between Nimasa, Nigerian Navy, and ICC, International Coordinating Center at Yaoundé in Cameroon, so that we can have what we call the issue that deals with the maritime insecurity, not only in Nigeria, but in the Gulf of Guinea. So the result I showed to you is not a Nigerian result, it's the Gulf of Guinea. In the entire Gulf of Guinea, we don't have single attack from the third quarter to date in our own territorial water. Next slide, please. Now, the performance tripod 2 has to do with maritime safety. I am now done with the maritime security. What the agency is doing about the maritime safety. The agency observed that shipping is a critical global trade, yet it is the most vulnerable in terms of safety. This explains the reason of International Maritime Organization adopted the Safety of Life at Sea SOLAS Convention to ensure the safety of those involved in shipping, particularly the seafarers. You leave your own home and you move to the world of its own. That is the waters. There is no house anywhere, no shelter, nothing apart from your ship. And you need to have a special care. So under that, Nimasa is empowered to enable legislation to take the critical aspect of the job to ensure safety of ships and those on board through proper enforcement of Maritime Safety Convention. That is, if you go back to the objective, we discussed about the maritime label. That's the seafarers. So that's what we are talking. So in so doing, the agency, when we took over, we don't have single vessel. So the first thing we did was to ensure that we bring out vessels that will ensure that we maintain safety in our own waters. Now, first of all, we have number of ships that were grounded. And because due to the devaluation of Naira, the ships become very expensive to buy. After procuring the platforms of maritime security, we now need additional platform for maritime safety in terms of flag and post-state control. We must ensure that the supervision of our own waters and coastal waters is being addressed. The issue of wrecks must be removed. And in so doing, we now assess our vessels. The vessels that has to do with search and rescue, you can see them at the extreme left, they are before, and the extreme right, after. So we now try to see how we can salvage some of those to save Nigerian money instead of buying brand new ones. We still make budget available to procure brand new ones, but we were successful in using the Nigerian Navy dockyard to repair some of the vessels. This is after about, I think, 5 of them, we reactivated them, and we order brand new about 7. We expect to receive the delivery of the new ones around end of November, in about 1.5 months to come. Secondly, the issue of wrecks. That's what gives easy navigation. When you have number of wrecks and your ship is passing and the navigational areas are filled up with wrecks, the issue has to do with accident upon accident, loss of life, and damage to the ships. So you can see the wrecks there. So we decided to make presentation to the Federal Executive Council. For the first time, the Federal Executive Council approved the nationwide removal of wrecks into 4 zones. 1, Badagry, Tinkan Island. 2, the Western Zone, headquarters in Lagos. The Eastern Zone, headquarters in Port Harcourt. The Central Zone, headquarters in Warri. The federal government, under the Federal Executive Council, approved the contracts. As we are talking now, the contractors are on site removing these wrecks. As you can see the wrecks there, big, so you can see the big ship there. So as big as that ship, sometimes you can find it under the water. So you don't know, while you are navigating, you will come across those ships, and at the end of the day, problem will surface. At the middle here, we try to establish partnership with Nigerian Railway Corporation. When we receive these wrecks, instead of us to start selling it at a giveaway price, our intention is when we remove it, you can see here, this is part of the ones we are removing. So when we remove it, the Nigerian Railway, they have foundry where they melt these dead ships into a solid iron that we can use it to establish or to build new ships. And then the Nigerian Railway Corporation will now have a kind of cooperation to make sure that we melt these ions and make use of it. Nothing is waste as far as shipping is concerned. Next, please. Now, furthermore, in terms of maritime safety, we try to look at what is called marine litter. Our waters is littered with pure water sachets everywhere, bottled waters, and so many other things. At the end of the day, you find that fish can swallow something that is very dangerous. And at the end of the day, when you go for fishing, you get that ship, that fish, the fish will end on your table, and you eat, you start having contaminated things, and you don't know what is wrong with you. So we now establish what we call the Marine Litter and Microplastic Action Plan, which we send it to International Maritime Organization and approve it. We are now implementing it. And the second thing, we now try to enhance and improve on marine environment management in order to ensure that our environment and marine environment is safer by building a kind of a lab that will be testing our own waters to make sure that it's not contaminated or polluted. Whenever there is pollution, we are now going back to the International Maritime Organization. Those oil companies that are responsible will put in our own claim to make sure that we recover a kind of compensation in terms of damaging of our own environment. The next, in terms of safety, is for us to have a kind of collaboration with the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. Just like the forecast you used to see in terms of aircraft, the aircrafts, those who are using it, they will tell you the weather, whether there is storm, whether there is rain, whether the sky is not free from other things that can, disturb the movement of aircraft. So also in our own waters, we need such forecast. So we now enter into agreement with the Nigerian Meteorological Agency to have a weather forecast in our own maritime domain. Those who are watching Nimasa this week, we started airing the weather forecast in order to ensure safety of navigation in our own waters and the forecast of the weather for the ship owners to make sure that they are navigating well and they don't have harsh weather to operate within. And that is myself and the Director General Nigerian Meteorological Agency. Next slide, please. Now, the third performance tripod has to do with maritime development. Or in this, when you are developing maritime, there are so many segments. The segment of capacity building, the segment of infrastructure, the segment of ship repairs, the segment of shipbuilding. Now, under the shipping development, we have a critical aspect that encompasses fleet expansion. And what is fleet expansion? Nigeria doesn't have ship anymore because no country can strive in the maritime industry without assistance. So the first things we have to do is to see how we can get incentives. Most of the developing countries or developed countries they develop their maritime through incentives. So we quickly send our request to get two types of incentives. One, monetary incentive. Two, the physical incentive. The physical incentives entails that if you are getting ship, you can be able to get zero duty if you are buying brand new one. While you are buying 1 year, 2 year old ship, you continue to graduate the cost of duty that you have to pay. At the end of the day, the older the ship, the higher the duty, so that we can get rid of these old rickety bucket ships in our own territorial waters that cause environmental damages from time to time. And that has been granted by this government. For the first time, we receive fiscal incentive from the government. Now, the second thing, it has to do with monetary incentive. If you intend to buy spare part or you intend to buy ship itself, you have to get the foreign exchange at the prevailing exchange rate of the central bank, instead of you going to the black market, making it very difficult for people to own ship. Now, in addition to the fleet expansion, we are working tirelessly to make sure that we dispose the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. The current Minister of Transportation just last week inaugurated a committee to move ahead from the selected 11 shortlisted banks that they have interest in disbursing the CBFF. So now the committee has been inaugurated, has been constituted. I believe before the end of the week or next week, that committee will be inaugurated, and they are going to be aligned with the responsibility of selecting the 4 primary lending institutions as provided by the guideline for them to for us to enable us to get those banks that can come and select the successful bidders in terms of disbursement of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund has been in existence since 2004. No disbursement has been made because of the experiences we had in terms of disbursement, ship acquisition, and shipbuilding fund. Most Nigerians collected those money and think that it's a national cake. They couldn't go and buy those ships. Some of them bought the ships, and they come and tell us the ship sank. So where do we go and start searching for the ship? So at the end of the day, we were unable to recover some of the monies to date since 1996. So every minister is a little bit scared to see how he can take public funds and give it to individuals that they are not willing to pay. So most of the ministers say, okay, give me evidence, prove to me that this fund can judiciously be used for the purpose of procuring or increasing our own fleet. Now, the present minister say, oh, fine. You, Nimasa, you are not expert in terms of debt, in terms of collection or issuing. Let the banks that specialize in that, as provided by the guidelines, come forward and tell us if they are willing. We advertised, banks applied, we shortlisted 11 banks. Now, by the act or by the guidelines, the minister had the responsibility to select 4. He said, okay, I am not going to do that alone. Let the committee come and sit down, look at the criteria of selecting these 4. As I said earlier, that committee has been selected last week, And I believe between now and next week, we'll be able to inaugurate them. And we hope within the next 2 months, we'll start disposing those ponds. And Nigeria will have to be in one of the maritime countries that we envisage to see. That is on the issue of fleet expansion. What are we doing about this younger generation? We have produced, or we introduced, what we call the SPOMO Act. If you arrest them, you go and jail them. We have introduced platforms that can fight them. Many a times, in an effort to arrest them, you kill them. But what makes them to enter into this kind of criminality is lack of employment, lack of job, lack of education. So the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency introduced a special kind of scholarship. And under this scholarship, we call it carrot and stick. If you feel you are disturbed, you can continue to be a criminal, then we use our own gadget to address your own issue. If we arrest you, you go to jail. If in the course of arresting you, you lost your life, so sorry for your family. But we have to do something. Because when you go to war, you have to come back and sit down on a table and iron out your differences. And what do we do to iron out these differences? We have to secure a job for these younger Nigerians. We have to train them so that we make this particular criminal act no longer attractive to them. And that's what we do. In terms of capacity building, we introduce what we call National Seafarers Development Program. We have to develop capacity. We have over half of our population, or two-thirds of our populations are younger Nigerians between the age of 20 to 25. So we have to send them to school to make use of themselves. And this is the breakdown of that particular program. The program is solely agro, so that what we intend to do is to make sure that we attract them. You don't have to say you are sending them to Okeran Koko or Oron. We have Oron. We are producing so many willing Nigerians, younger Nigerians, that are applying themselves to go. We have Okeran Koko University, Maritime University, Okeran Koko, that they are going also, they are doing that. But now we introduce a special Seafarers Development Program where we train this younger generation. If we found you worthy with 5 credits in sciences, English, mathematics, and sciences, we now shortlisted you and send you either Greece, UK, India, I think Malaysia, Philippines, and Romania, Egypt. So far, this program, as of 2021, we have sent 2,041 Nigerians for this kind of training. These are the breakdown. Officers graduate, we have already 656. We have students currently undergoing sea-time training, 446. We have students currently going COC, Certificate of Competency. Let me give you an analogy of what these programs look like. First of all, you have to undergo a 4-year degree program. So the 4-year degree program is what this dovetail. These are the graduates. When you finish the degree, just like if you finish law, you have to go to law school. So you have to go to sea time. You have to spend some time at sea to acquire practical knowledge and experience. We have 446. Now, after you acquire this knowledge, that is what we call Certificate of Competency. You have to obtain this Certificate of Competency for you to secure a job, not only in Nigeria, worldwide. Our target is for us, anywhere we move in the world, we see Nigerian inside a ship and proudly being a Nigerian. Not necessarily working in Nigeria, and we have a lot of them working abroad. Then cadets ready assigned to maritime training institution in the process of boarding the sea time training. Before you go to sea time training, you have to go into the maritime training institution to obtain a kind of experience, just like industrial training. So we have 351 number of cadets currently undergoing basic training. The best training is, we have 5 students that have completed sea time training and are waiting for the COC, Certificate of Competency. We have 360, and out of this, the one we sent, live, 10 of them, they are no longer alive. May Allah forgive them. May Allah have mercy on their souls. Then withdrawals. There are some they cannot cope because issues of this training is like a military training. So 120 of them, they have withdrawn. So total, we have 241. Next slide. The next slide is showing the number of people, the current status of this program. Now, you can see me here. We're encouraging females. You see, going to sea is not easy. A voyage means one trip from Nigeria to US. It may take you up to 40, 45 days. And you have 2, 3 females among 40 or 50 seafarers. So you know there is a problem there somewhere. So one such problem happened, ladies couldn't cope. So we continue to promote, because people believe that maritime industry is man's world, no woman. But there's no difference between man and woman. So we are now encouraging the younger females, please join the services of the maritime. So you can see me here at the center with a lot of smiling girls, happy to join the seafaring business. These are some of the graduates. Here, they have already graduated. They come back. I'm now shaking them, welcoming them when they finish the training. And these are some of them in a different school, match up. So you can see them. If you see them, they don't have difference with Nigerian Navy. Some of them, they have been observed by Nigerian Navy. Some of them, they have been observed by Nigerian liquefied natural gas in Nigeria. And some of them, they have been observed by so many ship owners inside, within, and outside the country. Now, in 2021, just last year, October, around 1 year now, we sent 200 to Greece, Egypt, and India. Now, from between now and early next month, we have concluded to send 235. So far, from the analysis given to you, 2,041, we have an evidence that about 800 of them secure job. Some of them within the country, most of them outside. Some of them, we don't know where they are because they have already moved on. As soon as they get their certificate, the international communities wanted to employ them. They get their own employment. We didn't sign any bond that they must come back to Nigeria and work for us. So in so doing, they leave the country, they go and earn their living. But if you are following the trends of events, the amount of money the Nigerian government received from diaspora continued to increase year by year. I don't have the statistics, but I know the last year's statistics was very encouraging, and these are the kind of programs that produce source money, repatriated money from diaspora. Next slide, please. Now, we have another program called Waste to Wealth. I have earlier, in the course of explanation, made mention about marine litters that we introduce action plan, which is approved by the International Maritime Organization. We have what we call marine litter marshals. These marine litter marshals, we have 8 neutral states defined by the Supreme Court. And those states, you will see me with some of the state governors. We are trying to interface and coordinate with them. These are such marine litter marshals. We started this program in 2014, and so far we have over 1,190 marine litter marshals working to ensure that they remove all these dirt and convert it to wealth. How? We have to recycle it for another use instead of we throwing it away. So sometimes we do it using mechanized means. Sometimes we do it through manual means. This one, as of today, we have 1,190 in our own payroll. Next slide, please. The making of the blue economy. Gentlemen and ladies and listeners, the way international community they are going in terms of substitutes to crude oil, we have to put our mind that in the next 10 years, 15 years, our oil may not have a place in the world market. So we have to look for an alternative. What do we do? What do we have to introduce to substitute crude oil? If the crude oil is there, fine. If it's not there, then we must have an alternative source of revenue that can keep Nigeria together. Most of the things that keeps Nigeria together, at the end of every month, we go to federal allocation. Every state pick their own. When there is no crude oil, now what do we next? So the concept of the blue economy is a new in the system. New in the sense that we started hearing an emphasis on blue economy from 2012, just 2012. You can imagine an industry that can start to grow from 2012 to date. How many years? Less than 2 decades. So in 2018, Kenya with Japan in Africa tried to do the first conference on blue economy, trying to promote blue economy. Nigeria, Nimasa in particular, is one of the agencies representing Nigeria to be in that particular conference. And when we came back, we now wrote a report to the presidency, and we said this is what is happening, and it's high time for us to make sure that we click into the blue economy. And what is blue economy? It's the sustenance of utilization of our own oil or ocean resources. All the ocean resources and related services to the ocean must be harnessed for economic development, for job creation, and for empowerment of our own populace, as well as eradication of poverty. So once we do that, in terms of fishing, in terms of shipping, in terms of services that you offered, so we must do that. So in so doing, the presidency, the incumbent president, approved that this is an economy, and the chairman of the economic agenda is the vice president. So the vice president should be the chairman of the blue economy. Now, you can see the former minister of transportation at the left, extreme left, myself, my humble self at the middle, and the chairman of the blue economy, vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, at the making of the blue economy. When the president approved the implementation of the blue economy strategic document, so the vice president chaired and tried to inaugurate the committee. And then we have the national body. So every sector, environment will now bring their own, maritime will bring their own, everybody will now bring his own and dovetail it to the national level to make sure that we enhance the issue of blue economy as a substitute of our own oil. The vice president, His Excellency Yemi Osibanjo, is being approved to chair the implementation. The Federal Minister of Transportation is the secretariat of the blue economy. Next slide, please. Now, what do we do in terms of blue economy? The blue economy is at the center. Step one is for us to set agenda setting. The agency now begins as part of the maritime industry. This is a fraction of the blue economy. So as part of that, we said we have to create awareness and sensitization. In so doing, we don't want to be left around and say, no, we are federal government. We decided to say we will have to follow it step by step. So step one, agenda setting. We set the agenda because the committee has been inaugurated. Step two, coordination in formulating the blue economy policy. Now, in terms of policy formulation, everybody must be on board. And then we must ensure that everybody owns the blue economy, everybody believes in blue economy, everybody drives the blue economy, everybody must have say in the blue economy. That's the step two. Step three, building the national ownership of the blue economy policy formulation process. So it's going to be a national. It's not going to be only federal government. So in so doing, we have to get the littoral states. What are those littoral states? These are about 8 as defined by the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Now, apart from the coastal state or littoral state, we have about 28 states that also you can access them with water. Which type of water? Inland waterways. What you can get in our own seas and ocean, you can get it in our own internal waterways. But the problem is we are yet to appreciate and try to harness the gains and the benefits of our own inland waterways. So we have 28 states, so everybody was invited into the main committee. Okay, so in so doing, we have, you can see here, we have the Lagos State Governor, this is Ondo State Governor, with myself, this is Delta, this is, I think, Rivers, this is Bayelsa, and this is Bayelsa. So we move around to see these governors. Sorry, a signal has been given to me that is getting out of time. Please hurry up. Now, with all this, at the end of the day, we begin to receive commendation. That means we are getting to the end. The International Maritime Organization sent us commendations of what we have been doing. This is the Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, Peter Clay. And then this is me with him in London. And then the Dick Award. And then American Embassy also sent us a congratulatory message and commended us. This is the commendation. Now, here is the Japanese authorities and the Korean. The Korea gave us a donation of warship to ensure that we enhance our own platforms, while the Japanese government gave us a grant of $2.7 million to build additional ships. And from there, they intend to build 2 ships. The remaining, they will have to send it back to Nigeria. And in addition to that, the agency now acquired brand new 16-story building at Victoria Island so that we can expand in order to make sure that we get the stakeholders in knowledge of what we are doing, whether it's in line with and in conformity with the services that we are doing. We now establish what we call stakeholders experience, where daily they will have to communicate with us where we are right, where we are wrong, how we can adjust, and what we can adjust. Next. And then we, as agency, we are not revenue generating agency, we are a regulatory agency. But along the side, we must maintain the agency. In maintaining the agency, by accident, we used to generate revenue. And if we generate that revenue, we have to give our own contribution to our own dear nation, because the ports are limited, but the mouths are many. So in order for us to put more food into the port, so we now contribute. I have taken some analysis of what we have. 2018, we paid to the Federation account 21 billion. In 2019, we paid 24 billion. Despite COVID-19, in 2020, we increased it to 31 billion. Then 2021, we said 37 billion. We continue to increase what we are going to put. Now, from January to June 2022, we paid 30 billion. So we hope we will, by the end of the year, we will be able to increase. These are the revenues that will be accrued to the remittances of the federal government, even though the unfinished business. We have unfinished business in terms of ship repairs. We have modular floating dock, which some of the media people, they know that it has been very controversial, but we are working tirelessly day and night to make sure that Mr. President commission it within the next 2 months. Next slide, please. Next slide. Unfinished business still. The Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, I have already given a vivid explanation, and at the end of it all, life is like an ocean. It waves. Waves will try to knock you down. At its waving, it will look like it's going to wave you down. So what do? And will push you back where you started. You are walking, the wave will try to push you back. You continue to insist, and it will try to take you back. But once you fight through them, the entire ocean is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I believe it has been a very enlightening and informative lecture in court. Well, the DG has spoken with so much passion and so much from a point of knowledge. This is a DG that has been in this sector for the past 30 years, and 28 of those 30 years as the DG of Nimasa. So when he's talking, he knows exactly what he's talking about. Yeah, 28 of the 30 years has been in Nimasa. Yes. Oh, no. Yeah. So, of course, when he's talking, in short, I was going to ask him about this. When he started talking about the CVVF, it was something I was very interested in, and I liked the exposition he has given on it. Now, let me give room to, sir. It's one thing for you to have spoken so eloquently. It's another thing for our people to agree with you. Let's see if they agree with you. First question goes to Choji. Adesua takes second one. Farouk takes the third one. And Bolaji takes the fourth one.
Okay, thank you.
DG, sir, my name is Timothy Choji. I report for Voice of Nigeria. We have followed keenly the way you've made your presentation, and you've told us about a lot of achievements you've made in the area of securing the Gulf of Guinea, leading to 0 attacks this year. I would like to know, what is Nimasa doing in interfacing with other security agencies to ensure that this feat is replicated in other parts of the country, especially within our inland waterways? Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. DG. Good morning, everybody. Let me say congratulations to you and your team, or shall I say congratulations, Mr. Ronaldo of Nimasa. Okay. Oil theft continues largely unabated, and smuggling of such products out of the shores, sometimes we are told, are done with vessels, huge vessels. Despite your S1, which is Maritime Security, and the Deep Blue project, which has all the surveillance equipment, how is it that we still have these vessels leaving the shores of Nigeria with our stolen product? What's the problem? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Hassan Umar Farouk. I report for Liberty Radio and Television. My question is on international collaboration. GOG is an international waters, but during your presentation, you made mention of internal collaboration with the other security agencies. Is it a solo thing that Nigeria did and achieved all these things, or there are certain things that international organizations or other countries also help Nimasa to achieve this? And there is a move by the Senate.
Good morning, Mr. DJ. My question has to do with the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program. Yeah, my name is Bolaji and I write for The Nation. Yeah, I said my question has to do with the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program. And we learned it's been around for a while, and it has the potential to generate a lot of employment. It's done that for other countries like Philippines. I don't think we've reaped this potential that much. What is the problem? Why aren't you, or why has it not been able to give us that much in terms of employment generation? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Emodi asked a question on what Nimasa is doing with other security agencies to address the issue of insecurity, not only at sea, but also on the land. Inland waterways. Well, I've been corrected that inland waterways. I think when you are talking of security, either inland waterways or our high seas or our oceans, the fact is that that crime is being started from the land. They will sit down in the land, organize what they intend to do, train those who are going to do the attack, what they are going to attack, why they are going to attack. Is it for the purpose of robbery, to carry valuable from the vessel, or to take product from the vessel, or to kidnap the seafarers for ransom? All this started at the land. So now the Deep Blue project is not meant only for our own seas and ocean, but our priority after the flag up of the Deep Blue project is to ensure that we deal with the situation that concerns our own seas, because that is our own territory. You cannot leave your own house on fire and you go to your neighbor's house trying to quench the fire. To quench the fire. So you must make sure that you address your own. Now that we are having some progress on that, definitely we are extending our own security apparatus to the inland waterways. The problem with our own inland waterways, we are yet to harness full activities, full potentials of the inland waterways. So therefore, we find it very, timely to deploy most of this asset. But as I said, the agency is collaborating with the Inland Waterways MD, not only collaborating. What we did is like when you call Governors Forum. In the Maritime Transportation or Ministry of Transportation, we have a committee of CEOs that we meet every month. And every chief executive have the right to chair such committee. And we discuss issues and challenges, and we do relate to each other and give helping hand to each other. So sooner or later, you will see the presence of the agency in inland waterways. Why I mention the land? A kind of survey and monitoring and evaluation has been made on the Deep Blue project by the economic and financial crimes. And the outcomes from the monitoring and evaluation of the platforms was that similar project should be extended on land. And now we are now trying to go to the next segment called Overland Project. Deep Blue project for sea, and for land is Overland project. And we expect to see the harnessing of security of land and the inland waterways. Similarly, the Deep Blue project will be extended to the inland waterways. The next is Dosua. She talked passionately of stealing our own oil, crude oil. Yes, Adesua, that is quite true. In the last 3 months, we have been discussing with the NNPC to make sure that one of our aircrafts is being deployed to man our own pipelines because of the 24/7 camera surveillance in such pipelines. As I'm talking to you, some of those to take on that operation are in Italy to take the training of monitoring our own pipeline surveillance using our own, one of the special mission aircraft. So very soon, we'll call you upon when we are going to commission that particular aircraft for you to see the contributions of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency towards abating such criminal activities in our own waters. Hassan Umar discussed about the issue of the Gulf of Guinea. After the ICC, I made mention that we form a committee of Joint Industry Working Group. The Joint Industry Working Group consists of the conglomerate of Intercargo. These are the world interested companies that have the largest cargo that move around the world. They are called Intercargo. Then we have Intertanko. Intertanko are the conglomerate that own oil tankers that move around the world. And then we have oil marketers that move around the world in conjunction with International Maritime Organization. They are all part of the Joint Industry Working Group meeting that we are having. Now, after reaching certain position, we have to create what we call shared Gulf of Guinea. When we created shared Gulf of Guinea, countries like Italy, France, Norway, Denmark, and I think France, they came into the banners of shared Gulf of Guinea, meaning that that shade warehouse those countries. Because shared Gulf of Guinea is a large water. It's too big for Nigeria to handle that. If you can recollect, it was in such operation, Denmark killed some of Nigerians or some unknown Africans because we were yet to identify whether they are Nigerians or not, and they claim that certain issues happened, a very controversial issue, which we are still on it with Denmark. And that was at the high peak of trying to maintain maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea. So Malam Umar Hassan is not only Nigeria, but we also have conglomerate companies and interested parties in terms of maintaining peace. But in all this, the major stakeholder is the Nigerian Navy, because they are the one that carries arms. They are the one that went out to ensure they maintain peace and security. Ours is to regulate and ensure we put machineries in place where there are financial support we put to ensure that we maintain the issue of security, because we don't carry arms. So we are into non-kinetic operations, while the Navy, they handle the kinetic operation. Bolaji talked about the NSDP employment. You know, when you have issues, many coming before you, you must prioritize. Otherwise, you lose balance. The issue of NSDP is something we brought it in a hurry. So, as we are implementing it, the first batch, we just sent them to go and get the degree. When they came back, we discovered that most of them graduated at the same time and at high volume. So we need to pay money for them to go for the sea time. We need to pay money for them to go for COC. So in all these aspects, we must budget fund for that. So we must do gradual. That's why I give you table. I gave you table to see the breakdown of what we are doing. Now, in the subsequent ones, the last two I gave you, we are now signing agreement with the institution. Look, if we give you a student, we don't want to hear that he finished his own degree, he's waiting for sea time. He finished his sea time, he's waiting for COC. So what we are doing, if we send you to school, we want you back with your own COC. So it's very difficult for you to find all the students we train at the same time, getting job at the same time. Some, they make efforts themselves to secure the job. Some, we give them recommendation. Some, we talk to the ship owners internally to get that. When we continue to structure the issue of NSDP, when we open our own training institution, maritime training institutions, we don't need to spend our own hard-earned foreign exchange to send them to foreign countries. I was in Maritime Academy, Oron, 2 days ago. We have all that it takes in international community to train our children in that school. What we are trying to do now is to open our training institution in Nigeria, to have alliances, memorandum of understanding with the international training institution in maritime-related courses. We now harmonize our own curriculum to ensure that the certificates Nigerian maritime universities and Maritime Academy is issuing is the same with other training institutions worldwide. Once we reach that level, we will not have any problem with the rejection of the certificate issued by maritime training institution in Nigeria. And in my subsequent interviews, I do mention, once we get that level, we get the certification of International Maritime Organization, International Labour Organization, and any country decide to discriminate the Nigerian certificates because we decide not to go to the international and train our Nigerians, we will also reciprocate that gesture. When that country's ship comes here, we will not accept and we will reject their own certification of CPRs. So we are going for tit for tat. But what we are doing now is to ensure that we put our house in order, we get the backing of international community, we ensure that whatever certificate we are issuing is recognized worldwide, and the other training institution, we have memorandum of understanding and they certify our own curriculum and we meet the requirement of the International Maritime Organization and International Labour Organization to achieve the PIET that every international training institution is supposed to have. Thank you.
Before the next batch of questions, let me inform us that There have been some online comments, most of them praising the DG for the presentation. And there are two questions, but I think you've answered them. One was on the corridor theft, and the other one is on versus CVFF. So, who goes next? I know you came late. You can't take it now. Punch 1. Business Day 2. Glory 3. Leon 4.
Good morning, Mr. DG.
Good morning.
Thank you for that presentation. It was quite enlightening. My question is about the training program. That's the. My name is Stephen Angulu. I write for the Punch newspapers. So my question is about the program, the training program for the cadets. You mentioned that out of over 2,041 graduates, 800 of them have successfully secured jobs. And these jobs are not necessarily within the shores of Nigeria. They are in other parts of the country where they have, where they can, deploy the skills they've been learning for in the course of the program. Now, how do you, and you said there is no bond that keeps them within the country that ensures, mandates that they work for their country within a certified period of time. How does this address brain drain? And I know you also mentioned that, of course, this also increases the balance of remittances we're receiving from other parts of the country, but other parts of the world, rather. But the question is about brain drain. How is Nimasa managing the brain drain from these our graduates going out to work for other nations? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My name is Tony Ailemen. I write for Business Day. I'm particularly interested in your fleet expansion aspect. You talked about funds which had been disbursed, the Cabotage funds which had been disbursed. I want to know how much have been disbursed so far, and you also mentioned that some funds have not been recovered. We're not able to recover those funds. Is it possible for us to know how much was not recovered? How much exactly are we expecting that these 11 banks will disburse when eventually they start their disbursement? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Omezoke from Channels TV. I'm glad my colleague mentioned what you talked about earlier about brain drain, because that's really an issue. It's surprising that a lot of people would go for training and then decide to stay back. But really I'm concerned about the Deep Blue Sea project. The main objective of this project is to protect and secure the waters, even up to the Gulf of Guinea. How has this really helped to tackle the problem of crude oil theft? Thank you.
Good afternoon, sirs. My name is Dr. Leon of the Nigerian Tribune. My question will flow from the one Tony asked earlier on the money you're not able to recover. But what I want in my own case is a bit of clarification between what happened, in what happened between you and the Senate, who recently ordered your arrest for allegedly paying $5 million to recover some money. I believe this money you intended to recover is part of what Tony spoke about. But in this case, the Senate wanted to arrest you for paying $5 billion to recover $9.3 billion loss. Can you give us a bit of clarity as to what really went on in this case? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I have the four already. Yes. We have Steve that asked question on the brain drain. The unfortunate situation we have in Nigeria, we don't have the fleet available that can accommodate the CPRs that have been trained. That is the most sad and the most disheartening things. We don't have fleet ships. We don't have it to accommodate those younger Nigerians that we are training. So that is the brain behind seeing the disbursement of the CBFF now. By the time we disburse the CBFF, even though the ships the CBFF can afford Nigerians to buy may not be big, there may be direct and indirect employment. If you take the direct employment, probably average, one vessel can have an employment of 35 Nigerians. So you can now count it with the number of the vessel procured. In so doing, these younger Nigerians that we are training, they can be able to fit into those vessels that we have. But shipping business is capital intensive. It's capital intensive, so very few Nigerians can afford to buy vessel. Therefore, the government needs to give a helping hand to see the expansion of our own fleet through the ship acquisition, through the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. So I'm sorry to say the issue of brain drain doesn't affect the NSDP because the jobs are not available for those Nigerians. That's why you see the number of employed, they are very limited. Even looking at the fact that maritime is a specialized area, marine engineering, marine architecture, marine surveying, it's not every university that offers such courses. So we need them to feed into our own system if the fleets are available. But when we don't have the fleet available, then we have no option rather than to secure employment for them within and outside the country. So this is the position of this. Mr. Tony asked the issue of fleet expansion. Mr. Tony, I think there are two issues you try to rappel together. There is the law of the Decree 10 of 1987, National Shipping Policy, Decree 10 of 1987, that established National Maritime Authority. In that decree, we have what we call Ship Acquisition and Shipbuilding Fund. Ship Acquisition and Shipbuilding Fund. It was under that decree, loans were given to prospective buyers of ships. That was the one I explained, that till date, some of the beneficiaries, they are yet to pay off such loans as far back as 1996, when we released such loans. Some of the matter is in the courts now, and some we recovered the money. I don't have the exact figure of the one that is not being recovered. Now, I made mention Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. The Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund substituted Ship Acquisition and Shipbuilding Fund via Nimasa Act of 2007. When the National Shipping Decree 10 of 1987, that is Nigerian National Shipping Decree 10 of 1987, was replaced with Nimasa Act, then the provision of Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund was provided. And that one, Nimasa started deducting the 2% in line with the Act. From 2004 till date, we were unable to dispose a dime. So this is what I mentioned, that the Honorable Minister of Transportation last week constituted committee and he's going to inaugurate that committee by next week, God willing, to produce the primary lending institution that we will interface with them to commence the issues of the disbursement. So these are the two lines. I hope it's... Well, we have two components of the fund. We have about $350 million, and we have about 11 to 16 billion. I can't remember the exact figures now, but I think as at September, those are the two figures. Okay? Gloria asked question about the oil theft. I think I dwell and answered much on the oil theft. The Deep Blue project is, procured and commissioned to deal with the maritime-related crimes. And I made mention, as at the time of commissioning this project, we have priority to address the issue of piracy within and beyond our territorial waters. And we focus attention on that. Now that we succeeded to a large extent, we will now have to face the issue of oil theft. And I made mention, we have been talking with NNPC, and the staff that's supposed to be deployed to address the issue of this oil theft using our own special mission aircraft. They are currently on training in Italy. As soon as they come, I promise that we will invite you to tell you that we have now commenced the issue of surveillance of our own pipeline with the assistance of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. Mr. Leo, maybe before the end of this month, that I will confirm to you, because the training is not in Nigeria, it's Italy. I cannot tell you offhand, but I know those staffs, they left Nigeria about 2 weeks ago for the training. Before the end of the month. So I will let you know when the commencement of such surveillance will start. Leo spoke or asked questions on two issues. One, he followed up on the ship acquisition and shipbuilding fund. I think I have made elaborate explanation on that. Then he now made mention there was an attempt to arrest the DG Nimasa. There was an attempt to arrest DG Nimasa. Yes, media carried that report, and the fact of the matter, when the media took it today, the following day, I made a full publication of the situation of things with regards to what they said. But I'm happy that you asked these questions. Those Nigerians that were unable to know the fact behind that particular issue, they will now get to know more details about it. Sometimes in 2015, group of lawyers approached the then Attorney General of the Federation between 2013 2014. That time I was an officer. So, but leadership comes with a lot of responsibility. You have to take asset and liability. So that's part of liabilities that I have to take. I have nothing to do with the transactions, but as a DG, I have to take the responsibility. So they approach the Attorney General, then Adoke, to tell him that, look, we have evidence of non-payment of oil lifting in Nigeria, which shows the amount paid to the Nigerian federal government coffers in terms of tonnage differ with the one discharged internationally, either in Houston, Texas, France, or any other country that are buying our own crude oil. We want you to give us opportunity to bring out this document and institute court case to recover these differences between what is lifted and claimed to have been paid to Nigeria and what is being discharged at the other end. So the gap between what we have and what federal government received, we want to tell you we have the capacity to do that. And at that time, they requested the federal government to pay them certain amount of money, which I cannot remember, but the publication will be made available to the press. I'm sure most of the press, they have carried that advertisement, detailing out step by step. So the Attorney General granted approval. And because it's a maritime-related crime, has to do with ship lifting, claiming that they lift maybe 10,000 barrels. And at the other end, they are saying probably they discharged 15,000 barrels. They rushed to Nimasa. And they said Nimasa should pay them an advance payment of $5 million. And this particular task is on no cure, no pay basis. So they paid the $5 million to about 3 sons. They are Nigerians, and very prominent Nigerians. Some of them, they are professors. So they paid them, and they have their own branches abroad in the United States of America. Nimasa paid that money. So when they paid that money, these companies went into action, instituted cases. About 12 or 14 cases are still in courts. They were able to get a judgment of $1.69 billion in favor of Nigerian government because of the discrepancies of this crude oil. Some of these cases are still in court. Now, it's usual if the Senate invites you and you did not honor that invitation, the next thing they will say, they will issue bench warrant. As a responsible organization, as a responsible chief executive, I will never run away or shy away from my own responsibility. There are some communication gaps between the Senate and the agency, which I am not aware of until when that publication was made. And I approached the Senate, and they told me, that's normal. So many CEOs, they will come and cry, blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the day, I don't think if there is anything, and I made publication of the true picture of what transpired as far as that transaction is concerned. It's in the national dailies. Some of this progress was published in the national dailies. The progress of the cases, company by company, Texaco, Mobile, everything is being detailed in that publication.
and it's available for Nigerian to see, and Mr. Leo is available for you to see. I'm sure before you leave this particular forum, a soft copy will be sent to your own WhatsApp message. Thank you very much.
The last two questions. One will come from here, and one is from online. The one online, sir. Juliana Taiwo, she's one of us, she's not here. She's asking, what is the agency doing to ensure that foreign shipping lines remove war risk surcharge on Nigerian-bound cargoes? Anule, take your question.
There's no microphone for him.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, DG, thank you for this privilege. My name is Dr. Anule Emmanuel. I write for AFP News Agency. Yes, DG, I just want to bring to your attention that reports indicate that between January and July this year, Nigeria has been losing about 437,000 barrels of crude daily. And that amounts to about $10 billion. I just want you to confirm this figure, if you can. And can you also tell me if really there are arrests of prominent Nigerians engaged in this criminal act? Because the group managing director of NNPC Limited now actually raised concern that the criminality we see in crude oil theft, criminality we see in crude oil, it's an issue that is an issue that it's an issue that is perpetrated in high places. So are there current arrests? Because no one is telling us who these persons are, but we keep hearing that there is a high profile, criminality. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Juliana Taiwo asked a very good question on war risk insurance. Nigeria has been made to pay high premium for every cargo that is coming to the country or going out of the country. And by virtue of the trade situation in Nigeria, which we are import dependent, 90% of what we consume, we import it. So it's a help in escalating the prices of goods and services that we are receiving that is connected to shipping. So the main reason why of payment of this war risk insurance was that Nigeria has been tagged as the most dangerous water you have to trade on. So when your ship is coming to Nigeria, first of all, you have to pay the insurance of the vessel. In the event anything happened to that vessel, the insurance company will have to pay the entire vessel. 2, you have to pay the valuables that are inside that ship. You have to pay the insurance of those valuables. In the event the criminals attack the vessel, enter the vessel, cut away with the properties in the vessel. So all those properties are insured. Then the third, the human element, all the workers, they must be insured. In the event they are killed or they are kidnapped, and they have to pay ransom. So we have to pay. So there are 3 key elements that we are paying, that Nigerians ought not to pay that. So they call it war risk insurance. We asked, are we at war? No, we are not at war. You are not at war, but our vessel innocently is being attacked. Our seafarers have been kidnapped. Sometimes they've been shot dead. Our valuables have been cutted away. Our vessel been damaged in the course of stealing our own products and other things, so you have to pay. June this year, We started this campaign early this year. Now that we are having some calmness in our own water, remove the war risk insurance. They say no. The issue of this attack is seasonal. When is dry season, the sea seems to be calmer. So these hoodlums and criminals find it easy to navigate and go and attack our vessels. We have to see full cycle year, rainy season and dry season without attack. By and large, you have been on the list of this war risk insurance for almost 25 years. Why should you come to us because you don't have attack for the period of 7 to 8 months? Let us study how far this can go. And we have just concluded our own quarterly meeting. So you prepare your own report, submit your own report to us, and let us see and evaluate. Okay, when are you going to have the next meeting? September, last month. Now we prepare our own report we have given. Before preparing a report, we say, okay, we don't want you to remove the war risk insurance entirely. We have one full cycle without attack, right? Right. Give us a kind of expectation that you want us to meet before you remove the war risk insurance from Nigerians. They say, yes, there are kinds of milestones. In terms of safety, there are limited number of scores that you have, like to say 5-star, 2-star, 3-star hotel, 5-star hotel, 7-star hotel. The higher the star, the best you can get. The lower the star, the lower services you get. That is what I can give you vivid their explanation. So the country is being rated. So our rating must take a longer time for them to see and understand. So now we are in the batch of rating. Our rating continues to increase as we continue to see calmer and safer waters in our own territorial waters. So we expect the report from Lloyd's of London and those conglomerate insurance companies that determine the position of war risk worldwide and see what we can get. Kenya has been on that list for over 2 decades, but this year they removed Kenya from that list. I assure Nigerians very soon Nigeria will get out of that list because we continue to sustain the tempo of peaceful waters, calmer waters, and clean operations as far as the issue of shipping is concerned. Now, the next question from Dr. Anule. Dr. Anule, I have been mentioning over and over, we have 2 kinds of operations in our own territorial waters. We have kinetic operations, which is basically for armed forces. We have non-kinetic operations, which is basically for safety administration. The safety administration, they have no responsibility in terms of investigation, arrest, and similar things. It is those concerns armed forces that will now go into the sea with their arms, arrest, and forward the necessary documentation as civilians, as mercantile and commercial outfits that is being given responsibility to take care of the commercial shipping, then to follow it up. Then in so doing, we will be able to tell you that. So in this situation, the parties that are suffering from this crime and the law enforcement agencies are aligned with the responsibility of kinetic operation. They are in a better position to give those statistical analysis. Thank you so very much.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Bashir Jamoh, DG Nimasa. I'm sure you will agree with me that it has been detailed, it has been explicit, and well stated. We want to say thank you. Thank you very much for gracing the State House press briefing. This is number what? 53. You are the 53rd government official to grace the State House press briefing, and we thank you. We want to thank members of Dr. Jamoh's team. Our friend, Honorable Chudi Ufodile, Executive Director of Finance and Admin. Good to see you again. You're welcome. SADG Strategy, Mr. Obong Essien, thank you. He's the face of Nimasa on television. Director Cabotage, Mrs. Rita Urokwa. Welcome, huh? Deputy Director Deep Blue, Imram Hausana. Okay, you're there. Thank you. Then Head Maritime Safety and Seafarers Standards, Engineer Olu Aladenusi, also our friend. Thank you, welcome. Abuja Zonal Coordinator, Mr. Zilani Atta. Okay, welcome. Head this is the person to know. Head Financial Services. Shishi. Mr. Abdullahi Mustafa, you're welcome. And then we have our own kindred spirit, the head public relations, Mr. Osage Edward. Okay, welcome. So those are members of the DG's team. We thank you all for coming. Let me also thank members of the presidential communication team who put this together. Uche, thank you. Biodun, Sata, James, and other members of PCT who are in the hall, thank you for putting this together week after week. And now we are at the 53rd edition. Then I want to thank members of the media. You know, if a man made a feast and he invited guests and they refused to show up, you know that he will eat the food alone. But you, week after week, you ensure that that does not happen to us. We put this together, you come to cover. And you not only cover, you report well. So thank you very much. And may our alliance and cooperation continue to thrive. We want to thank everyone for coming. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you. Welcome. Very, very good. Thank you. Let's take a group photo. So a group photograph.